Jesús İspanyol bir mimar ve İsveç'in en eski ve en büyük mimari uygulamalarından biri olan Tengbom Architects'in yaratıcı direktörü. 2006'dan bu yana Stockholm'deki KTH Kraliyet Teknoloji Enstitüsü'nde ve uluslararası alanda dersler veriyor. Doğru ya da yanlışa değil de iyiye ya da kötüye inanıyor. Kendisi kuzeyin peyzaj trendlerinden bahsedecek ve bizi doğaya götürecek. Bu özel oturumu Işık Landscape Global desteğiyle gerçekleştiriyoruz. Teşekkür ederiz. Oturum dili İngilizce olacak ve simultane tercümemiz var. Kulaklıkları girişten temin edebilirsiniz. Jesus, stage is yours.
Hello, thank you very much for the really nice invitation here. So I really appreciate it. My first time in Istanbul, it's an amazing city. Will be not the last time. Okay, when I get the phone about to come here, I asked, what do you want me to talk? And I got the instruction that was going on in landscape architecture in Scandinavia. A bit short about myself. My name is Jesús Azpeitia. I'm an architect. I work as a creative director in an architectural office. It's called Tengbom Architects. As I think I seen Amy before, it's maybe one of the oldest architectural offices in the world. It started in 1906, so it's quite heavy responsibility. We are around 550 architects, interdisciplinary, so all the disciplines are represented: landscape, interior, house, and town planning. And this is maybe the most famous building that we have designed, 1906, the concert hall in Stockholm, when the Nobel Prize are given. And this is our last brand new office headquarters in Stockholm. So I work as well as a teacher at KTH, and then I will be some kind of short farce before I get the taste about the landscape in Scandinavia now. Scandinavia, we are talking about 3 countries. We are talking about Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. As you imagine, it's obvious, but I will tell you, the climate is really different than here. So we have fluctuation between temperatures, where we are talking about Stockholm or Oslo. It could be -20 in winter, up to 30 degrees in summer. So there's almost 50 degrees fluctuation about temperature. Let's take them. I have a picture there. That's nice. The main cities in Scandinavia are always related to water. It's almost no inside cities, so you have to relate to the presence and relation with the water is quite important. Also the relationship with the nature. This is a picture of Stockholm, but you could see similar pictures in Gothenburg, Oslo, Copenhagen. The town planning of mostly of the Scandinavian cities are quite inspired by Haussmann planning from the 800th century. So it's the regular grid. And at that time, with the empty places in the regular grid, we filled with a park, with kind of amusement park, in kind of a Renaissance thinking about you show off, and with kind of amusement park and so on. Around the 60s, mainly in Sweden, but in Northern Scandinavia, the demand for that kind of parks of that kind of areas started to increase. It was just not a leisure. It could be more kind of programmatic things to solve in this kind of areas, about the children, about the kind of function, cycling, parking, and so on. So in 1961, I started landscape architecture as an own profession, as an own discipline in Scandinavia. And since that, it has been increasing with more and more landscape architects. We are right now around almost 20% of all the architects in Sweden or Scandinavia are landscape architects. And that figure is increasing up. We are kind of lack of landscape architects, so you are really welcome if you want to come here. Not here, to Stockholm or to Sweden. So it was increasing, and our presence also internationally becomes important. We are really happy. The last year we organized a flag congress in the landscape, and this year will be September here in Istanbul. So I hope I can come here as well. I should plan as well. So it becomes time. But now to the facts. If I should talk about different kind of trends or tastes about what's going on in Scandinavia, we kind of this split in 3 blocks, how to say. One important thing is the urbanization of the cities. The cities are getting more bigger in relationship to the countryside. And the climate resilience, that this demand for the cities is really important. As the same is happening here, like in all Europe as well. It rains almost the same, but it rains more intensely, and you have to solve that with the architecture and with the landscape architecture. It's one of the new demands the landscape architecture have to solve, how you solve the water problem. And the urbanization with no place, in principle, to build more buildings, but you always no place, and how you this demand or give the same. The other thing is, I wouldn't call them laces, but the Scandinavian population wants to work less and less. So it's the demand that they want to work less hours. It's more, they are less interested to work and more to have more leisure time. So it's important to increase the demand of the leisure or the hedonistic in the cities, and always see the kind of thing to work together in the way that no segregation, and even in the design of the projects, it should be included by the users of the public spaces. This is the second one. And the third one is the nature. The Scandinavians love nature. Nature in winter and nature in summer. And how you work with nature close to the persons and to be the nature is important in different times of the year. So these three things, and I'm going to say some tales of different projects that has going on. And you can tell me afterwards if you like them or not, or if you think it's something special. The rain, this park is called Rain Park, and it's the new demands in the functions that is really important about the hedonistic zone, how you deal with the water in Scandinavia. In this space, it's called Rain Park because it's, in principle, it's in the middle of Uppsala, it's the fourth biggest city in Sweden. It have to solve a lot of the raining problems in the area with the new floods, things, and hopping on. So in principle, all the park, all the landscape, it have to be possible to become water. But at the same time, you don't want to be just water all the time. So in this project, you can see that in the middle part, it's working in different levels. So the middle part is always to be a lake, small lake, with this kind of nature relationship with the lake and with this kind of a staircase. And when it starts to still raining a lot and to wait the time that this water goes to the water system for the city, it's always to delay the time to the system. It works on in the first time goes the water to the left part, so start to raise the left, and if it's raining a lot more, we are talking about some days continuous rain, it's going to the right one, and you see it start to rain. So you have always, the middle part is always a water lake, and the start to rain a lot, go to the skate, and the third one goes to the regular park. So it's how to deal with it, and you have different kind of status in that way, but at the same time, in this kind of park, in working in a pedagogical way, it's really important to know as well that the population should learn about how to deal with the water and how to raise. And of course, all the areas it have to be possible to use in different times when the water is down. Urbanization means a lot about the dwellings, housing building, but at the same time, the left places that are in the cities is not really the most suitable to build buildings. So, at the same time, the regulations say that you have to have this kind of free spaces in the housing projects and the light and so on. So right now, the landscape in the housing projects have to be built in really places that are, in principle, are not landscapes. So you have to create your own landscape and how to deal with the nature, how to relate to the nature, and to work and to the demands to the garden for the dwellings. So in this case, you can see this kind of light structure that it relates as well with the design, with the building, but you have to rest in a quite careful way into the rock, and you can walk around and to create the areas that by law you have to solve about the meeting places and so on for the community without not taking place. So it's also how to create landscape without no place to take and to create this kind of lightness. And these kind of projects are more coming up as well. So at the same time, it's a lot of work, more work for us too, of course, because you have to be more creative and innovative to create this kind of solutions, how to create place without no place. And of course, it could be opposite in this kind of main squares in the downtowns and so on. So you have to put a lot of new functions. It's how to deal with the water, to deal with the cycles. You count now when you are counting about person, you have always to, per person or apartment, you have to count around 4 cycle bikes parking places. So you can imagine the amount of places you have to put that. And how always to relate to the metro stations and so on. But at the same time, you don't want to see them, of course, because it takes place and so. So it's how to do with the water, with the landscape, and creating in the flat areas, in even landscape, to disappear all the bikes and all the infrastructure. And as well, work with the lighting. The light is really important as well. This night, long nights during the winter, how do you just use to use the light, the eyes focus on the light and to make disappear all the bikes and so on. And of course, these kind of deep areas are used for the water and so on. So you just come to two functions in just one and more, and create this kind of a space and site even in a quite crowded bike spaces, as you can see here. In Copenhagen, Denmark. In this project, the same kind of, this project was created in the downtown Stockholm. It's quite new, it's just 3 years old, this project. And can you imagine down there is the biggest infrastructure project in all Sweden. So all the connections with the fast train, with the metro stations, and the traffic is down there. So when you see the round areas here, it's always ventilation tunnels, and how you include the design of the ventilation tunnels and the surrounding about to create in the aesthetic way as well with the rounded areas and with the fountains and so on. So it's how to work with the infrastructure, how to disappear the infrastructure that they all have to have the programmatic parts of the areas. It's really important. In a quite organic way. We love organic figures, landscape loves it, of course. But always this symbolic and colorful, of course. We love color. Even the Swedes and Scandinavian dress in black, as almost all the architects do. But we love color in the spaces, open spaces. It's not just for children, it's for everything. And how you relate to the existing areas is even to create the kind of colors and figurative spaces. And with the lighting, of course. Hedonistic. We love to pleasure. We want to work less and less. Even I think in Norway right now, the working hours is 6 hours per day. And even demanding less working hours, and it's more effective. So it's a lot of investing. This area, this space, open space, is in downtown in Copenhagen. So we like to figure out that we're someone else, not in Scandinavia. We love to be in Turkey, we love to be Mediterranean, and try to recreate the hedonistic leisure architecturally. But at the same time, with the combination, with the market that is sustained, we don't have new spaces. We have to put these kind of recreation areas in existing spaces that doesn't exist in the form. Here we see the roof floor of a new building. So in order just to build as much as possible, they propose just to put an open space in the roof plan, and everything in the roof floor, and everything will be just leisure for both children and adults. That's important, even if for children and for adults, they are also treated in equal ways, in the same colors and so on. It's this kind of equality, quite kind of vision about the thing. It's not so big difference. And even for this kind of ethnicities, and it's the same way from identity, sexual identity and so on. So you always have to create even a park. We're just going up with the staircase and in a proper way just to raise and to have the leisure and to healthy way on the roof perhaps and so on. And this project as well is coming more and more of the same way that is to create no spaces for no spaces in this kind of formalistic but quite pleasure way that you cannot distinguish if it's for children or for adults as well. That I think is really nice, this kind of area. About the health, about how to can deal as well, I think this one really familiar, really close project for me. I work a lot with that. It's the landscape project. It's a new hospital in Stockholm, in downtown Stockholm. Ersta is called the name. But when we work with the landscape, it was working a lot about the sick people, how they can increase both the health for the sick people, that is showing out that. But even not that, even for the ones, there were 2 floors. It was for terminal patients. They were supposed they were not going to live so longer. And they have the opportunity as well to have the last experience, both for health and for so it's, to work with landscape to can contribute for that person's the last days to realize and to have this kind of last pleasure in this life is really beautiful day. So we're working with this garden that they can feel all this kind of summer, the Swedish summer in one garden, in this kind of roof that you can see here. You can see the bed with the patients and soldier care patients. And you know, the summer is quite special in Scandinavia. It's just few weeks, but they are quite special. How you manage to have the microclimate for this kind of blowering with the strawberries and the different kind of flowers so they can live. We have got feedback from the patients and from the personnel living there. Some of the last patients said it was the most beautiful. I mean, it was so beautiful that I could experience the last time in their life, the summer, when it was not summer. So the landscape architecture can create many new experiences that we shouldn't forget about the atmosphere and pleasures of life. How you work with this kind of pleasure? This project, I think, is quite interesting because it's in a suburb. It's quite problematic suburb with the drug and with the integration, and it was quite difficult, but they wanted to make this kind of project. It was open for everyone to create the spaces that everyone could be seen at that time and to be secure and safe spaces that the children and the grown-ups could see without problems. And it's not just working about it in the day, how you work with the different kind of shapes, different kind of motions that you can open for the lazy ones to sit in this kind of a staircase and to drink a cup of coffee with the view and the sun, or to the other ones who are just to motion or to make a skateboard on just the children. And relate as well to the long walk around that to the parks and to increase the motion and so on. But nevertheless, as well, how you work during the winter, during the night with the lights. So you can see a lot of colors. So when you can see that during the day was not so much color, the color came during the night. And to create that and to be possible, both the lighting and to be more curious of it to be seen in these colors. This is a night, both in summer and in winter. Then snow is really good to have for the nights. You get more reflective with the light and so on. It gets much more beautiful effects. How you work with the lighting and relate as well. Always thinking about how it works in summer, how it was in winter, how it was with sun, how it was with night. About together, it was a really fun project that we work in. This kind of how I work about in this project as well. How do you work? As an architect, sometimes it's difficult not to take the pencil into the design of that and to allow the users to take the design of the project. And it was quite a special one. It was a quite problematic square as well in the south of Sweden. And the girls didn't want to show off there in that places because it was kind of problematic with this kind of macho culture that was at that time with them. And they, together with the girls, we say, what do you need at the place to be safe and to be play in that places and to be part of the landscape of those places? And they wanted to the staircase they could see all around and so on. And they wanted to their pink color as well. I remember I said to them, no, it shouldn't be pink. It's so obvious. It's so they go, no, they say the girls, it should be pink because then the other ones they wanted to be seen that. So then. No, maybe it's different, but it was kind of Barbie staircase. It was really a successful project, and we got, after that, a commission in the continuation to develop the areas of the landscape. Quite rudimentary landscape in kind of a temporary way, as you see here, with this reusing this kind of low-class materials that have the design of the quality. About what is good when you design together with the people who is going to use that they get really a close affection to the place and so on. So on many of the places that was supposed to be temporary with this kind of Coca-Cola boards to have this kind of poetry and with this kind of different materials from construction sites that you don't use and to that. They really enjoyed that and they wanted to be permanent. And now this part is permanent and they want to see that because they feel really relate about that. So I can recommend you to involve the users because they were more affected. They wanted to use it more and to stay there. Last but not least is the nature. Even when you have the imagine when you come from the Mediterranean, as I do as well, that the nature is not so welcoming in Sweden, and even with the maestro Inga Bergman represented, the filmmaker, the Swedish nature in the movies, always this kind of dystopic disaster. In fact, the Scandinavians love to be in nature. Even they're quite idyllical. They want to be quite rustic in the nature. They don't want to have luxury things in the nature. They want to have the poetry on the life experience of that. So as soon as they can, they leave the cities to go to the nature, and they want this kind of a special experience. So a lot of landscape architects we work with this kind of how you can create in the nature even the extra experience that is just not the nature. I'm going to show you some few projects about that. This project in quite close to a housing area in Farstein in the south of Stockholm, it was about how can you make people to move to the water, to have this kind of promenade, to walk on the water that can come in, and to create this kind of more special feeling that is with the greenery and with the walk pontoon around that and kind of promenade. But at the same time, this kind, as you can see, the housing area is around that. This kind of house, the Million House project, this kind of concrete roof that we wanted to people to be close to the water, to have that feeling. And when you are sitting there and say you never see the housing even when it's quite close, to get kind of feeling that you are meeting somewhere else in this kind of place. But when you are in the forest, you always have this kind of tents that you can, with the children and so on, to have always an enhanced experience in the walk that you are somewhere else, even when you are in quite close to this kind of concrete, rough areas, with the materiality and with the nature materials. A quite important project about landscape architects in Norway is this one. It's called the National Tourist Route in Trollstingen. This is all over Norway. Then, even I live in Sweden, I should recommend the Norwegian nature is amazing with all the fjords. I really strongly recommend. So they have this camp. They wanted to increase the people in Norway and the visitors and tourists, the experience of the Norwegian nature. So they hired a lot of landscape architects through all Norway, from up to the north. How you can, from place to place, increase this kind of atmosphere of this experience. And this one of my favorites. I have been there. And the way that you, in a few places there, and especially in that place, you can walk over the clouds is really amazing. And how you can create, this is the road to arrive there. It's quite fishy and so on, but you get experience about the identity and how you move that, and afterwards you have this kind of mirador, gazebo that you can look around, and even sometimes both the view and sometimes you can have this kind of feeling experience to you walk on the clouds and rehearse this kind of real experience. Amazing, isn't it? I really recommend you have the chance to have the views. But you have need time to walk up there. As the same project as well in Snøhetta. The Norwegians are the ones who love more the nature, I have to say, more rustic ones. It is kind of how you can experience nature in more strong way, or this kind of topic that we were talking before, more special. And this is quite this kind of blocks that are 50 centimeters from each other, and this kind of small island in the middle of the lake. And thanks to the water floods, raising level during the day, so you can walk in different ways to this kind of thing. So you can have different kind of experience, even from just as Jesus did, walk on the water, but for real, or just to try kind of math or something. So you can experience the nature, even the lake's nature, in different ways. So it's going. So this kind of always thinking about how can you experience nature and how to reinforce the atmospheric way into the nature, both in the cities, but even in the nature, is quite important. A really quite important topic at that. But if I have to show you one project, maybe you know that, but it's really iconic, I think. I was visiting it last weekend in Copenhagen. I think it's most the best summary of everything. And it's in Copenhagen. It was a former parking place for the opera house. And I was becoming one of the most iconic landscape project in Scandinavia, probably in Europe, I should say. No, I was really impressed. And this is the Opera Park in Copenhagen. As I told you, it's a garage building, in fact, by function. But it was really important to give back to the city the nature of the experience. So that garage or parking place lot that it was before for the Opera House in Copenhagen, it has become this amazing, almost like Bernini pleasure garden that use or recycle water from the Opera House. And all the sound panels from the Opera House gives the energy for the opera. So the middle point that you see that here is just a pavilion that is the main entrance from the garage. So you can see the relationship to the city, its world spaces, and you can see really close as a destination park for the city. All the formalistic and organic always remain this kind of the nature, this kind of treble, they figure them. However, thematic of the park, just as a destination, is you should experience the different parks on different parts of the world. So you have around in this park that you can experience the Danish, the Scandinavian, the English, the American and the Japanese history and culture about the parks in this kind of way. And even the pavilion you can enjoy, but always the building is downsized in relation to the park. Just the glass surface, almost like floating. And relation between inside and outside is almost the same. So the roof incorporates, the room safe space incorporates. And here, what you see here, in fact, is the main entrance to the garage. So that's when you came in this kind of sunken, you can see here at the right. So you can see down there is the garage, the parking places for the cars and so on, in this sunken garden. And here you can see different kind of tops, and in the way they work with the shadows, with the landscapes and the nature in different kind of parts in the world experience. So I really recommend you about this kind of leisure experience, atmospheric way. I think it's one of the most brilliant projects I have seen for many years. So I really enjoy that. And as you can see, many times when you see the landscape projects by side, it's really beautiful when you see when you see with this kind of fly picture and so on. But this thing is very special that when you are inside the park, you can experience the shape, the forms, and the experience with the water and relationship. Even it's not could look about that, I should tell you all the projects that just 4 minutes left. So all the projects I have shown is made by public money. So 90% of all the landscape projects is with public character in Scandinavia, and it's paid by public money in the way. So mostly of our work is used really to the users, not the developers. It's always a relationship, how can the users get more about the landscape, about the nature, about the plantation, about the water. Or at the same time, much more demands of the programmatic demands, both for the children, parks for the children, for the nature, the leisure, and the functions with the climate changes, and parking, of course, with the bikes and so on. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy the quick view of the taste of Scandinavian landscape.